Hi there, it's Bill with the Doomer Bloomer podcast. Now, if you're a listener to the show, you know that I've been doing this for a long time. But now there's an easier way to make a podcast. If you haven't heard about Anchor, let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your computer or phone. The Anchor app will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple, Google, Stitcher, and many more. And you can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Cheers. All right, welcome back to the Doomer Bloomer podcast with Will S. We're talking about the hero's journey, the 9 pillars of business life, getting you all from the doomer to bloomer path. Today on the podcast, I have a gentleman named Nicholas. How do you pronounce your last name, Nick?
It's Nick Prouten, and it's a pleasure to be here, Will.
All right, Nick lives in Kelowna, but his mind is in the future. Go ahead.
No. I said that's nice of you to say. I've always thought of myself as a bit of a time traveler.
Yeah, time. There you go. He's a crypto time traveler. So what is your specialty? What's your background, Nick? Let's start there.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. I'm a bit of a generalist. If you could identify my key role in specialty, it's being a Swiss Army knife. Everything outside of development is kind of within my purview. Within the load project specifically, the project I'm a part of today, my key focus is acting sort of as the de facto VP of product. So I also do spearhead a lot of the marketing initiatives within the project, although the team is 70 people strong at this point. So it's not a small operation. We've been around for about 4 years. And when it comes to how do we build this product in a way that is scalable and intuitive, so to speak, alongside how do we bring this to market at scale, that's really the purview that I fall within.
Excellent. And let's just say that you've never heard of Bitcoin. You've never heard of blockchain. You don't. What's cryptocurrency? Can you just give an overview to people? Let's say I'm grandma. Explain Bitcoin to grandma for me, please.
It's digital gold.
It's digital gold, grandma.
Yeah, it's digital gold.
Fill your pockets, grandma.
Yeah, no, I'm of course joking there if I'm talking to cryptocurrencies and blockchain on a larger scale is a technology that uses a consensus algorithm, meaning that it uses several computers to process and agree upon a transaction, to basically act as the intermediary where traditionally a bank or a financial institution would do that service for you. That's probably the most concise way that I could put it. So rather than having to depend on institutions like Visa and MasterCard or as I mentioned before, your bank to verify and validate the transfer of value, we can now depend on this technology, this algorithm, to do it on our behalf. And that is essentially what a blockchain is.
So you're talking peer-to-peer transaction, like a handshake, right?
Yeah, a peer-to-peer handshake is probably the simplest way that you could describe it. Cryptocurrencies are easily the most common use case for a blockchain technology. But as the industry develops, we're seeing lots of interesting initiatives take place for other use cases. Things like energy, medical records, real estate, anywhere where a ledger or a documentation is central to the service, a blockchain could be applied there, and it could be very, very valuable depending on how you're using it.
Okay, excellent. So you've been you've been with Load for 4 years. How long have you been in the space for? Longer
Uh,
than
you
that?
know, yeah, a little bit longer than that. Just a little bit ahead of the curve there. I worked for another blockchain project just prior to the big cryptocurrency boom. I'm talking early 2016 or so. Unfortunately, the project fell through. Didn't end up being the massive success that we anticipated it would be, but that's okay. That's a big part of tech. Fail fast, fail often, learn from it, grow. Um, and it was interesting as well for me. When I really started taking an interest in cryptocurrency was I was helping an e-commerce platform, and I was approached by one of this client and saying, "Hey, we'd like to start accepting Bitcoin and XRP." And of course, I'm like, "Okay, well, what's wrong with regular money?" But my journey spanned out from there, and 5 years later, I honestly think that most financial transactions, 5 to 10 years from now, will be conducted on a blockchain. If you follow the money and you take a look at the players that are coming into the space now, it's becoming really evident that this is the way things are migrating. Huge, banks, everybody from JP Morgan Chase to TD are investigating, if not having full blown blockchain departments. You've got hedge funds now throwing huge chunks of their portfolio into blockchain and into Bitcoin specifically. And then of course you have the internet heartthrobs like Elon Musk now publicly advocating for this as well. So I think if you sit back and you take a look at it on a macro scale, I think blockchain is here to stay, and it's the future of finance.
Do you think Dogecoin is a good investment, Nick?
Oh my God, that's such a complicated question. I
that
you
was
know
that was that was facetious. I'm generally being facetious, and also full discretion. We never tell people on this show to invest their life savings or endorse specific coins
here's
or anything like that. We just talk in generalities here.
No, I feel you. Here's how I'm going to spin it to you. For all the video gamers out there, Dogecoin is an advanced token. That's how I'm going to put it. If you are an experienced trader, if you understand, how the cryptocurrency market works, if you have a solid portfolio and you've been in this a few years and you know how to trade, maybe Dogecoin is something you want to take a look at. I would not recommend beginners, people just entering the space, newbies and neophytes, if you will. I would not recommend that Dogecoin as an opportunity for you.
Yeah, I 100% agree, and I think most of the time Elon Musk's tweets are meant to be taken as a joke.
Well, I mean, you know what? It's funny. It's a joke, but at the same time, he's not an idiot either. Like I think him and Jeff Bezos are presently battling it out for world's richest man. He farts and the world feels it. He goes on the Joe Rogan podcast and he smokes a joint, and his stock collapses. He tries to buy it back and take it private. He knows exactly what he's doing, and I actually think it's kind of dangerous in that respect
Mm-hmm.
because he knows that he's got this fan base that will buy into whatever he pushes. So I think you got to be careful with personalities like that because their intentions are not always altruistic.
No, that's 100% accurate. So, just coming back to your journey, because we talk about the hero's journey and your doomer to bloomer path. What is your story, Nick? Like, what's your hero's journey? What's your doomer to bloomer path? Like, where are you at?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, where am I at in my journey? I mean, I think I was probably a doomer, maybe like 2015, 2014 timeframe there. It's not to say that my life was bad, but I was working in the entertainment industry, and it that's not an industry that I really think is for everyone forever, unless you're working with the likes of Lady Gaga and the big dogs out there. Unless you've really made it, that is a, a career trajectory where your time is limited. And so it became very apparent that I needed to take the skill set that I had developed and apply it to a different industry. Got into cybersecurity, and I really fell in love with the idea of tech bringing value to people, of bringing good things to people's lives through technology. And the cybersecurity project I was working on was a moderation software that prevented pedophiles from getting to kids on MMORPGs. So as you can imagine, that's a really inspiring, real, valid application of technology. And so, I worked in that for a bit, and it was an awesome experience. But then you kind of hit a plateau, right? You
Mm-hmm.
plateau, and you're like, how do I grow beyond where I'm at right now? Sort of a death and rebirth sort of piece of my entrepreneurial journey, right? Which is when I started to look at, migrating into business consulting, and which inevitably led to blockchain. We've spoken about through that. So that has been a fantastic sort of journey. Where I'm at right now, I think it's more along the lines of transformation. I think I don't think you should ever complete your hero's journey fully. I think, I'm one of the mindset that you should always, always, always be learning. Um, and the cycle never fully closes, you know. Um, you certainly hit your plateaus, and you could argue maybe different chapters, maybe different novels, and each of those carry their own arcs and twists. But I'm a big fan of always living in that transformational space, and always being of the mindset that you are going to have to adapt. I think that's like a fundamental law of nature, is like adapt or die, right? And I try
Evolution.
to apply that to my life. Yeah, it's evolution, right? Um, if it's too hot, get out of the kitchen. And that can sound a little callous, but nature doesn't really care, right? And it's not personal. And if you're going to make it, and similarly, society doesn't care. I think we have altruistic intentions and aspirations where we want to take our society. I don't think anybody truly in their heart of hearts wants people to be suffering, but it's dirty, it's complicated, and we're not there yet. And until we've reached Star Trek levels of utopian society, it's
I
going to be
love
a
it.
dog eat dog world.
We're not even close to tier one yet.
Yeah, we're not even close to tier one yet. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question. A little long winded, but there you
No,
go.
it's your time. I'm just here to facilitate the knowledge that you bring to the table, and hopefully other people, other doomers, and hopefully bloomers in the future will get what they can out of it, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I'm glad I'm glad that you brought that up. What is one thing that you wish you'd known when you began your career? You said you were in entertainment, so just you're talking like concert promotions, or what would
Yeah, I at the time was running clubs, and promoting events, creating events, just working in the nightlife and music industry. And one thing I wish I'd known when I started my career, and honestly, careers are kind of like cat lives. I think most people will go through multiple careers in their lifetime. Um, I think the standard is somewhere around five, but don't fear the competition, and don't be scared to talk to people about what you are doing. I think there is this big belief within entrepreneurialism, within startup culture of, I'm a self-made man, I did it all myself and nobody helped me. That is such nonsense. No man is an island. And behind every massive success, even the Gary V's of the world, which will produce what I like to call struggle porn, there is a team of people that are supporting and lifting these people up. So get out of your comfort zone and start talking to people, and start leveraging, their networks as well as your own networks, because they're going to give you the inroads that are going to become the foundations of the teams and the people that are going to support your project to success.
yeah, you're basically saying that your vibe attracts your tribe, right? Um,
Yes, and no. I don't
Yes and no,
think.
yeah.
Yeah, yes,
Go
yes, and
ahead.
no. I mean, your vibe attracts your tribe for sure, but at the same time, I don't ever want to live in an echo chamber. I think it's
No,
really
that's
prudent that people surround themselves with the kinds of people that are going to call it as they see it and tell you the facts. um, because living in that echo chamber is dangerous because you're decoupling yourself from reality, and what you think is a great idea could be a freaking terrible idea. And if you have people that just don't want to hurt your feelings or just want to take a paycheck, it's not going to end well in the at the end of the day. So your vibe attracts your tribe, but it's not always natural either. Like it can be very discomforting to ask for help, to ask, especially if it's somebody who might be doing something similar to you. Um, it may feel very unintuitive. Whereas I think the idea of like your vibe attracts your tribe is like if you just kind of will it, people will come to you, and I don't want that out there. It's a proactive thing you got to do. But don't be scared of competitors, because I think there's enough room in the ocean for everybody, um, and you'll be surprised, right? Like even within this project, we've talking to uh, competitors or people that are working in a somewhat competitive space to us, and they've opened tons of inroads for us, right? So not everybody, just because you're competitors doesn't necessarily mean you're enemies, I guess.
well, the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Hey, that's true. And
So,
if you
so
guys
see.
are all trying to solve a common problem, I think that's a great perspective to take on it.
Well, and let's just circle back to your project here because uh, for me, it really struck a chord because it brings cryptocurrency uh, from a nebulous sort of space where what's this digital, Bitcoin is, mined. How is Bitcoin mined versus,
Hmm.
electronically mining? That makes no sense. And then so your project is essentially a crypto asset that's backed by physical gold or physical silver, right?
Yeah, correct. So, what's commonly referred to as a stable coin in the cryptocurrency market is a currency that is backed by a commodity or a physical, tangible asset to some extent. Um, what we do specifically is we take real physical gold and physical silver and we tokenize it and we put it on the blockchain and we produce two different stable coins, respectively. AGX, which is one gram of vaulted, audited, and insured silver per coin, and an AUX, which is 1 milligram of vaulted, audited, and insured gold. That's about between 5 and 10 cents depending on the day. And the reason that we did such small denominations is to make it really easily accessible to people. Gold especially is kind of costly to buy into, and through this project, we're actually able to cut out a lot of the premiums that people presently experience in the precious metal space, which can be as high as 50% in some circumstances if you're going to a bullion dealer. There is at its heart the firm belief that gold and silver are money within the Load project. For most of the world's history, we used gold and silver all over the world. Not just in Europe and the Western world, but in China and basically globally, we've used these assets to act as money. And even up until 1971, we had our the U.S. dollar and most of the world's dollars backed by some form of gold and silver. We've migrated away from that, and what's happened is the U.S. dollar has depreciated almost 90%, right?
Yeah.
In terms of its purchasing power. What we're seeing is the erosion of the middle class, and I think that the inflation plays a pretty heavy role in that. And gold and silver have this great reputation as hedges against inflation and as safe haven assets to protect your wealth in times of crisis. So we believe that by putting these assets back out into the world, we can take all the benefits of blockchain technology and combine them with the physical metals to create a superior form of currency that can be used, as a speculative vehicle as you want, but also to go buy coffee and go pay for your groceries and live your life.
Do you have an app for that?
Do we have an app for that? There's always an app for that. Yes. So, we haven't been resting on our laurels. We don't just produce those currencies. As of today, he's recording. We just announced our first listing with the Hotbed Exchange. You can look them up on CoinMarketCap. But in addition to producing these currencies, we do have a mobile wallet experience. It's really easy to use. Load Pay. Look it up on the iOS or Android stores. You can get an account going in about 30 seconds and start buying your first amounts of digital gold and silver if you're interested. And we're very rapidly adding more and more features onto that, such as the ability to, add and hold your fiat balances, as well as buy, some of the most common cryptocurrencies out there, your Bitcoins, Ethereums, and so on and so forth. And that's been a really exciting initiative as well. What I really like personally for me is I find a lot of newbies within cryptocurrency have a little bit of hesitation to going all in because they hear all this this notoriety around Bitcoins and cryptocurrencies for their volatility. So with a stable coin like AGX or AUX, your digital gold and digital silver, you can basically tiptoe your way into the market. These assets are some of the biggest commodities in the world. They are very, very stable compared to cryptocurrency. And because of that, you can start stacking with that, and then when you're ready, incrementally switch over to Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies as your comfort grows around it. That's just the approach that I take with it, though, and hopefully that's valuable for some of the listeners out there as well.
I just talking about this makes me hungry to go back into the space again.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of really interesting developments in the space as well. You and I were talking just before recording about how there was a kind of I don't want to say it jumped the gun, but the market was a little immature. It was a huge wealth generation event that lifted a lot of people out into prosperity, and there was this huge exuberance and enthusiasm. But what it lacked was business acumen and practical application in a lot of senses. The UI UX around Bitcoin and blockchain was like running into a brick wall. And I think now the market's come a long way where you have apps like ours and a lot of competitors out there that make using Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies an easy experience for people, meaning that it's much easier for businesses to adopt this into their practices, right? To accept these payments, to do invoicing in these payments, and even just as simple as pricing, right? The speculative value is nice, but if we ever want to reach that mass adoption that people like to harp about in the media, we need to get to the point where it's as easy to use as a credit card, right? Grandma shouldn't go to the store and think about how does a blockchain work and how do I send my Bitcoin, and she just needs to go, tap, be done, right? That's really where the industry needs to migrate before we're going to see a true global adoption of not speculators but practical users using this as functional currency. Because right now, I would argue that Bitcoin isn't a currency. I would argue it's a store of value, right? It's got slow transaction speeds. It's it's highly speculative, and even if let's say that volatility wasn't a factor, people do not want to practically use Bitcoin because it will appreciate, right? Your $5 could be $10 by the time you leave the store, and it's difficult for people to want to use that as a functional currency when they think they're going to be missing out on gains. So, I think and I think this is part of the reason why you've seen the emergence of stablecoins over the past few years, is because, we've realized that while Bitcoin kind of represents the cryptocurrency industry as a whole, and it has established itself as a sound store of value, and it's kind of the granddaddy of it all. We haven't yet found the sort of equivalent when it comes to a medium of exchange. That makes sense.
Yeah, they're it's like you said before, it's an evolution. It's always evolving. I mean, Bitcoin was the first, so obviously it's got its problems. And all the way down to to stable coins, and I personally am a big advocate of Ripple,
Yeah.
but that's just me. Um, but yeah, I really see a lot of like I'm glad we connected. I really see a lot of value to what you bring. There the thing I just noticed is that you allow people to bring. It says join the load community and start bringing your idle silver to work. So you allow people with silver to join your network.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have a third asset that we put out there. It's a perpetual bond, is what it's classified as. It's known as the load token, and this is for people who want to come in and play. Get some equity and get some skin in the game. This pays a dividend in the form of silver every 52 days. And it's really, and you have the opportunity to participate by contributing what we like to call your idle silver or gold. And when I say idle, I mean it's collecting dust in your sock drawer, right? It's not doing anything. So in this sense, you can put it into circulation as currency. We take the silver and gold that you use to purchase these load tokens. We tokenize it into the AGX and AUX, and then we circulate it out into the world to become practical and useful and tradable. And in exchange, as the system grows, you receive a dividend in precious metals. So that is the third option that we have on our platform presently for people who are interested in, getting their skin in the game and helping build a system like this. And yeah, people are able to either deliver their existing silver and gold, or they can buy directly from a bullion dealer and get the precious metals contributed that way. Or you can buy with your credit card and debit card as well. We'd like to make it, but we figured that since this is a precious metals based system, that we should, put our money where our mouth is and allow people, longtime silver gold bugs and enthusiasts to contribute their assets in making the system come to life.
Where is your guys' vault?
Vaults, plural. So we have vaults all over the world. Canada, the United States, I think New Zealand, Singapore. I can get if you're interested in all the details of all the locations of our vaults, I can't remember them all off the top of my head. You can head over to load.one, and we do have our project paper available on there, and it outlines where the vaults are located. But we take a very distributed approach to it. This is, risk mitigation. Lots of conspiracy theorists might say, oh, what if a government does this? Which is why you don't want all your assets sitting in one place. And really, the number of vaults that we have continues to increase as we get into more and more regions, and we find new and new partners in each region. That makes it sustainable for us, right? The idea is that this is a global distributed project for people by people. And so we think, providing a distributed vaulting system is part of that.
Okay. Yeah. No, I love it. Just want to make sure that, hey, is Nick legit? Yeah, Nick's legit.
Yeah. No, I get it. And it's I'm glad that you're asking these questions, right? There are lots of shit coins out there, lots of projects that are really vacuous and empty, that don't have real use cases. And, that because of that, the entire space warrants a lot of scrutiny. But that's part of the reasons we've worked for the past 4 years with regulators hand in hand, to bring this to the world in a safe and compliant manner, because you're talking about an industry where you wake up one day and it's all banned, it's like China's banning Bitcoin, go to sleep, and then you wake up again and it's all good. So it's tricky waters to navigate, but I think we've done a very good job of doing that, and our documentation speaks for itself, really.
Excellent. I love it. Are you the only Canadian component of the team, or where the rest of your team?
So Load is actually comprised of a series of service providers, right? And in the combination of all the different service providers and people who are directly working on the project, that amounts to about 70 people. The service provider that I'm a part of is a Canadian-based company, and we provide development services and product design. That being said, we've got people in France, the United Kingdom, the Middle East. We've got people in Switzerland. We've got people in Germany. Regulated under the BaFin. So it really is a very, very, and we've got people in the United States as well, of course. In fact, we have a whole Delaware corporation. So really, this is a global project made up of a global community of people, that come in to support the mandate of the project. Right now, the governance is conducted through what is a pretty traditional corporate structure. But this is an interim step to build the project and get it to a sustainable point. At which point, a lot more measures for community-driven implementation will come into play. We do want the system to be something that is governed by the low token holders and by the people who bought into the project. And so, as the project becomes more and more widely adopted and widely circulated, and the systems become stronger, this sort of corporate body can then sort of step back into the background and let the low token holders, take the reins, so to speak.
No, that makes sense. It's kind of like the democratization of cryptocurrency in a sense.
Yeah, exactly. We like to call it the socialization of gold and silver. It's kind of our
the socialization of gold and silver, bringing back the gold standard.
I mean, why not? Right?
Well, I mean, I think you're right. I think the abolishment of the gold standard has caused. We talk about this. I talk about this on the podcast before, and I follow others in that space. Specifically, Stefan Arnio wrote a book, "Hard Times Create Weak Men. Weak Men Create Hard Times."
Yeah, I'm familiar with the saying. Yeah.
And we've reached an 80-year cycle since World War II in 1945 to 2020. We had a global event that was the COVID crisis. Still in the middle of that, and things are still unfolding. Hard to say what's going to happen, right?
It really is, and I mean the turbulence. To different metaphor from the one you used, the weak men, strong men metaphor, but pressure creates diamonds, right? And through turbulence and through friction, I think innovation is when the acceleration of innovation really, comes forward. We saw this happen in the Cold War. That's a great example of that. My question is, there are lots of people drawing parallels to, the Roaring '20s and, the previous major pandemic that hit there with I think the Spanish flu it was, and they're saying, oh, it's going to be like the Roaring '20s. And I'm like, I don't know about that so much. Are we the United States in that circumstance during the Roaring '20s, or are we more like Germany, which was not having such a great time, in the years that followed? Because we have seen a lot of instability in what was formerly the bastion of freedom in the world, the Team America World Police, and all those institutions are now shaken up. We've seen how easily manipulated and fractured they are. And then you've seen China emerge as a global player as well. And you see a lot of posturing and a lot of, power plays being moved in espionage as well from Russia. So, nobody really knows where it's going, but I think it's safe to say that you should probably take a look at building yourself a digital strategy for your wealth that is autonomous and not, completely controlled by any central government. Something Canadians, especially because I know you're Canadian as well, may not be aware of is that Canada has a bail-in policy with banks. You've heard of bailout, but the bail-in basically means that if you have money in the bank, they can take it in a time of crisis if they need to, which means that you could lose all your cash if anything were ever to happen. That's a really scary premise to be in. Your whole life savings sitting in TD Bank could go up in smoke, right?
It's funny you should mention that. I'm about to pull out everything from TD Bank. They don't know that yet, but that's what's happening.
Hashtag sorry, not sorry. Sorry, not sorry. But yeah, so I think that if that turbulence isn't going anywhere, it can be a really prosperous thing. It can lift a lot of people out of bad situations like we've seen with the cryptocurrency boom. But if you haven't yet, you should start looking at having a digital strategy to protect your wealth, no matter, so that if shit does hit the fan, that you're good no matter what.
Yeah. And even better that it's backed by physical gold or silver. You have a kind of a double-edged sword there.
Double whammy. That's a great point to make. But without being too much of a shameless self promoter, most prudent financial planning would suggest you probably stick 10% of your portfolio in gold or silver. Digital gold, digital silver is a great way to do that. You cut down on vaulting, storage fees, and you can get it at a rate that is far more available than what you can do when you go to your local bullion dealer. The reasons are numerous. So yeah, it's a 1-2 punch combination. But even if you don't have any gold or silver right now, or you don't want to buy digital gold and silver, I'd recommend going and grabbing some for yourself, because it's a pretty safe bet, if you look at the track record.
Yeah, I'm probably going to buy a gold mine. So that's my long-term plan, to own a gold mine.
Hey, why not? Right? It's worked great so far. And there are a lot of advocates out there from precious metals and mining companies, Keith Neumeyer's First Majestic, as well as some of the people calling for triple digit silver, which would be incredible. There's this huge idea that silver and gold are undervalued, or that they're suppressed in some circumstances. And so, now is definitely still a good time to buy into that market if you're a speculator or investor. Would like to say though that all I'm talking on right now is speculation. I'm not a financial advisor, as I mentioned before. I'm a product designer and a marketer and a Swiss Army knife. So
Right. Yeah.
Go verify everything that is said today. Do your own research, and if you need to, go seek a professional. But that's the world as I see it right now.
No, I'm glad you said that, because I'm exactly the same. I don't advocate for people to do or not do something. We're just here, trying to get the information about stuff out. What advice would you give to someone wanting to pursue a career similar to yours?
Well, back in 2017, there were only about 7,000 blockchain developers out there, and the number has grown considerably. And that's an approximation, that 7,000 number, but very, very, very small compared to the number of, say, standard developers out there, or even full stack developers out there. So it is a very, very niche industry, and still is to this day. It's still what I consider early days, meaning that you have time to become an industry leader, set yourself up, and be a real player in the space. That being said, go look for projects with real vision behind them, real practical applications, that have real thought process around what they're doing. There is a lot of projects out there that are just empty cryptocurrencies, and they don't really merit much attention, or they're just there for the pump and dumps. And you don't want to get burned by something like that, or have your name associated with a project like that. So look for those core use cases, and understand what you want to do within those industry, and then pursue those projects. Like, I think almost all major exchanges and most major cryptocurrency projects out there are looking to hire right now. So it's a good time to get in, especially as things are relevant right now in the media cycle.
So, as a software developer, or what sort of background do you would be the best for crypto?
Well, I mean, I think again, developers are really in demand. Are really in demand right now. However, I think it's a pretty wide open right now. If you have somebody with legal expertise, or you're somebody who is interested in pursuing a career in law, there's a huge need for for people who are experienced with crypto and taxation and the laws around regulatory laws around cryptocurrency. But I do think there is a real felt need for just about all spaces within the blockchain industry. People like myself who are marketers and product designers, who can take the concepts and the technical application of cryptocurrency and distill it down to something that's easy to use, and people who have experience in bringing products to market, who are good at getting the word out there about what people are doing. Like these are all valuable skills that are somewhat universal, right? And this industry is doing nothing but growing, right? It's not going anywhere. I think I've mentioned it a little bit earlier, but almost all, I think in 5 to 10 years, almost all financial transactions are going to be carried out on the blockchain, meaning that it's a pretty blue ocean, right? So if you are passionate about the space, there is the opportunity, but you do have to have a little bit of a go-getter attitude out there. People aren't just going to naturally find you. You gotta research what is interesting to you and reach out to those people. But I think you'll find that most of them have career pages and that they're pretty open to new candidates.
Yeah, I would say probably LinkedIn's probably a good place to start. That's how I make most of my connections.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you have also a big fan of the what is it, the 6 degrees of separation logic as
Mm-hmm.
well, right? And this is why I was talking to earlier about don't be afraid of talking to your network and your network's network, right? You'd be surprised who knows who and how that can generate inroads for you. So, who knows? If you're interested in getting into blockchain, reach out to me, and I might be able to connect you to somebody. If we're not looking for somebody in load, then maybe we can find you, or I know somebody who is in another project that is looking to hire, right?
You heard it here
That part,
first.
like that social, yeah, that social networking is just incredibly powerful, man. Get out of your comfort zone. I know it's trickier because of COVID. We all used to go to business conferences, and it was easier to chat and mix and mingle. But there are ways. LinkedIn is a good one as well. But I'm also a big fan of just cold calling people. Find an email, reach out, smile and dial, right?
Yeah,
If,
there's software out there now too. It's called Lucia. Lucia
yeah.
will help you get contact information that you weren't able to access before.
Yeah, I will say that, at the end of the day, if you can find a way to jump the resume sorting algorithms that people use, you're going to have more success. Bottom line, we're social creatures, right? And if you can sell your personality and sell, that it is going to be beneficial to work with you through a one-on-one conversation, it's a lot easier to do, I find, than uh, trying to prove all that on a piece of paper.
Yeah, hire for fit and teach the skills. That's kind of my philosophy too. Yeah. So what are the best resources that have helped you along the way there, Nick, in your journey, your hero's
Yeah,
journey?
my hero's journey, honestly, I think everybody should go get a baseline understanding of psychology and how the human brain works. Regardless of what industry you work in, whether you are an employee or you are an entrepreneur, you need to understand social dynamics and how they work and where you fit within them, and how to demonstrate value in a way that people will see, and how to articulate your value. And if you can master those skills, then the world will become your oyster. I don't think everybody's going to be a rock star in that, but I think fundamentally understanding the basics is a really important thing. I also think reading. The titans of industry, if you look into it, they love to read audiobooks all the time, 1.5 speeds, like as fast as you can absorb information, the better. And so, pick a book that's relevant to the industry you want to go into, and just dive into it. Knowledge is power. I firmly believe that, and that is going to be your biggest resource to getting success, I think. This isn't really a resource, but it's something people forget as well. But I'm not a fan of struggle porn. I'm not a fan of the you always got to be hustling 24/7, give her, 50 posts a day, or else mentality. I think that's a really great way to expedite yourself to burnout. Um, you need to give yourself permission to rest as well as permission to work. You are not a robot, you are a human being. And if you are just so burnt out at the end of the day, you're not going to be bringing your best self to the table, right? And that's going to limit you and the opportunities that come forward in your life. So I just want to put that out there as well. It's technically not a resource, but it's still
Struggle
something really
porn.
important to keep in mind.
Never heard that before. Yeah. You still there, Nick?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, good. I thought I lost you for a
Can you
second.
hear me? Yeah.
Yeah, I gotcha.
No, I'm here.
Uh, I love this. So if you like you know if you're a doomer, and that's this is what this podcast has been about, is talking to myself 5-10 years ago when I was in more of a doomer sort of mindset. What is, as a doomer, what is the best place, or the best way to start to becoming a bloomer? Business, life, relationships. What's your best advice there, Nick?
So some of the best advice that was ever given to me was teaching me the school of thought that there are four main motivators out there. There's the autonomy, mastery, purpose, and progress. So autonomy is like, I wake up when I want. I do what I want. I have the freedom to live my life how I so choose. There is mastery. I want to be the best at something. I want to be the number one. There is purpose. So people who find a cause and that really motivates them, whether that's, something like the Red Cross is probably a great example of a group of people really driven by a purpose, right? And there is progress. So the feeling that you are moving forward incrementally, that you are advancing. So this is, I started from the bottom, now I'm here type mentality, right? Um, the guy who starts as sort of the underdog and becomes the CEO, type of progression. So understand within yourself what it is that motivates you. You might say, well, I want money. Well, if you peel back the layers just a little bit more, what you want is autonomy, right? You want the money so that you can do what you want, when you want, how you want, right? And you can exercise freedom over your life. And the money is the vehicle to make that happen. And everybody's going to have a grab bag of this, right? But understanding which ones are your core motivators and your prime sort of the things that resonate most with you will help you to find opportunities that best suit who you are as an individual. It will help you find passion and help you sort of craft a better lifestyle for yourself, a better work-life balance. And I think that is a really crucial step that is often overlooked for people. I think passion and purpose and all of those things come forward perhaps a little more when you're able to self-analyze yourself a little better. So for me, that was kind of part of the reason of what appealed to me in tech. I understood that tech gave me a certain amount of autonomy with my life. I can work from home. I don't have to show up and grind 8 hours of physical labor, right? That autonomy is important to me. And, purpose, something like the Load project has a really clear vision about what it wants to achieve. And, that clarity of vision is something I really resonate with. So to me, Load is a good fit. So understand your prime motivators and understand what it is that's going to get you up and going in the morning, and then start hunting for opportunities that give you those things.
I love it. I love it. And it's especially important now, like with COVID, it's been such a disruptor of, regular life, regular work-life balance. Most people are, working from home now and are transitioned to something different. It's important to have that. So this, I'm going to throw this question back at you.
Sure.
If you could step into my shoes, if I was if you were interviewing me or vice versa, what would you have asked yourself that I didn't ask you yet, Nick?
I mean, that's a tricky question because you ask a lot of really good questions.
I try.
Yeah.
I try.
Yeah. No, you ask a lot of really good questions. So there isn't anything that really comes to mind too quickly. Yeah, you know what? I just got to be honest, man. Like you've been really, really thorough about, why gold and silver, what is this project about? What motivates you? Um, you know, maybe that is it. Maybe I would have asked, what motivates you the most? What inspires you the most to get up and out
Yeah,
of bed?
what gets you out of bed in the morning there, Nick?
What gets me out of bed in the morning? Um, for me, I'm a really purpose-driven person. So I love the idea that what I do every day um, is making an impact on people's lives. That I think that what I am doing is going to change the world or make a change in the world. We have the opportunity to provide stabilized currency to developing nations and to, champion people's financial security. And I think that's a great cause to have. And that honestly, uh, being having the opportunity to be on the forefront of something like this and not catch a tailwind of it is
Right.
a once in a lifetime opportunity. You know, uh, I get to play an active role, not just be a passerby in this. And and that to me is just one of the greatest things in the world, man. And I hope that that the doomers out there in hearing that can understand that uh, I didn't always have that. I was a doomer at one point as well, and that those opportunities out there are out there, and you can make that change. You've ever heard the whole soulmates metaphor? Like there's somebody out there for everybody. I don't necessarily believe that, but I do believe that there are opportunities for your life out there, and they're waiting for you to find them.
Yeah, they're like gold and silver.
Like gold and silver. For me, it was cryptocurrencies and gold and silver. But for other people, it's going to be something else. Maybe something that has a more immediate, indirect impact. And that's all well and good, right? It takes all types to make a world.
Absolutely. All right. On that note, if people want to get involved or want to connect with you online, what's the best way to get a hold of you on your online?
Sure. So we got a couple websites. If you're interested in the mobile app, you can head over to loadpay.com, LODEPAY.com, or head over to load.one. That's LODE.one, ONE, to take a look at the Load project and what we're up to and get the full picture, read project papers. You can create an account in like 30 seconds. So it really takes nothing to get started. If you want to chat with me directly, you can join our Telegram channel. And we can have debates on any number of subjects as you like. We're a very friendly community, active in over 100 different countries. On social media, you can find us at LoadPay Media in most circumstances, and my personal Twitter is at Nicholas Prouten.
Excellent. I'll be following you there, and I think I'm going to be signing up to your Telegram group as well.
Absolutely.
Think it's just about time for me to start my own Telegram group, to be honest with you.
Hey, now's a good time. Now's a good time. We'll see you in there. It's been go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just I loved our conversation. It's got me thinking more about the crypto space again. Nothing's really piqued my interest or curiosity in the last little while, but this has really got my curiosity. So thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciated your candor.
Good word. Good use of
And
the word candor.
Any closing thoughts?
No, I just want to say that if you haven't started thinking about a digital strategy, now is the time to do it for your wealth. I do think we're in the middle of one of the biggest wealth generation opportunities in our lifetime, and I want you guys along for the ride with us, right? So, hope you reach out to us in the near future, and it's been an absolute pleasure joining you, Will.
All right. This has been the Doomer Bloomer podcast with Will S. As always, you can reach us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter at Doomer Podcast. And have yourself a great and prosperous day, guys. Thanks.